Hello everyone, this is Crazy, aka Why Must I Sign In, and today I'm casting the League of Shadows versus the Freelancers. We're currently in a loading screen, but it is loading pretty fast, and here we are already in the game. In the bottom left, so yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the Freelancers. We got Little Wanted going Plague, Carwile going Missile Range, Pseudophanes going Imp, Sam going 4 Armor, interesting, 0.51 speed. Oh, and HP, nice. And Mutation on the Leviathan. In the top right is the blue team. We have Butt Hairs going Charge on the side lane, just Dreadnought. 4-3 Colossus going mid. War going Range Missile. And Pornexus going True Disruptor, Blink. Okay, kind of a little bit more evasive, less aggressive Void Ray opening. So this is a 5 vs 5 qualification match in the January 2017 Open Tournament. Right now we got a little bit of a grouped up push in this top cloud. As the Freelancers try to kind of push back the League of Shadows. Now the Freelancers here are all in a clan called Cult, but I was a little bit confused. I couldn't really get a clear answer from them before the game began on whether they are registered in the tournament as a Cult team or whether they are Freelancers Team 1. So I'm going with Freelancers Team 1 because that's what they said in the lobby. But I didn't get a confirmation because it seemed surprising. BC Raven Overlord versus the double tank from the... Well, actually it's double tank versus double tank. It's Leviathan versus Colossus, key difference. There's Raven BC versus Raven BC. And then Void Ray versus Overlord. So the question is, will the Overlord in this 5 vs 5 setup get as much payoff as a Void Ray? They lose Sam right here, definitely not, but he has 4 armor. Ooh, actually, what they should do is they should transition immediately to the BC. I don't know why they didn't do that. If they had actually transitioned to the BC, I think he would have been dead. Although they are going pretty deep on Butt Hairs, and he's out of energy on his charge. And so maybe not. Maybe without the energy for the charge, they would not be able to actually get anyone, and they'd risk losing their Dreadnought. That was a good push, though. Just take push. Now they're back to the cloud, and actually the Freelancers are up on farm at the moment. Excuse me, my voice is not quite warmed up yet. So my thought here is that, see, we got Porny down here back farming, and in the 5 vs 5, the Void Ray becomes strong very quickly, and so he has his warp. He's basically planning to just back farm a little bit, get maybe, 530, and then warp out when the first ship starts to come back to get him. Which, as you can see on the minimap, Deathbringer is thinking about it, but he actually didn't commit all the way back. So Pornexus saw that the Leviathan was gone, warped out because he didn't want to get caught, but actually the Leviathan stayed on the line, so that's fine. Wait, what's going on? Yeah. Porn comes out with Nova, 1 beam, and mostly energy, it looks like. Basically just guessing that Carwile definitely does not have lockdown quite yet. But yeah, Carwile will definitely want to be getting lockdown on as soon as they go back. The thing is that even though Pornexus got some farm, his team on the whole is a little bit underfed. They are trying to go for a warp trick here too, kinda, just the 2 tanks. There's no BC in here. Oh, there's the Raven, there's the BC. If they get the Overlord, this is beautiful, and it looks like they might. Yeah, this is... Oh, this is a good kill. It's kind of an interesting timing on the warp drift, but it definitely worked out. Yeah, I think the red team overstayed. You know, it's 7 minutes right now. They were up before Little Wanted died, 200 farm. And the thing is, I think that on the first out, especially once the Void Ray has backed, it's very dangerous to stay past the 6 minute mark. Basically by 6:30, you really, even if you're winning considerably, you generally want to get back. You do want to have a farm advantage versus Void Ray, but you also can't, I mean, there's still 4 other ships. You can't overstay that long. You can't overcommit to get the massive farm lead. The question now is what they come out with. Blackout, Frenzy, Lockdown, and charges and energy. Still has 200 though. Let's see. No, just 2 lasers, I guess, and 450 energy. So interesting. Some interesting choices. At this point, though, the League of Shadows does have a pretty significant advantage because the Overlord was one of their 3 forms of denial and also one of their biggest damage dealers. Now, what is their late game damage? How do they generate kills is the question. And so losing the 1 damage dealer in a... You know, this is why the Leviathan has come out with Frenzy. And it seems like Thunder has noticed this, and that's why he's imping the Leviathan. Greeny Pornexus is going back again. This time, the BC does have Lockdown, and the Raven has Blackout. So between Lockdown and Blackout, if they can get back there and catch him off time, they can definitely kill him between the 4 ships they have. Dreadnought is already going back, but it looks like Pornexus is probably going to kill these people and warp out in time before the OBFs reach him. And he's gone. Back to base to spend money? Yep. You'd almost wonder, you know, sometimes if he had more damage already, he might warp onto one of his ships just to hope that maybe with the Dreadnought out of position they could catch the BC or something, but there wasn't really any good targets available right then. So he'll just fly out now with 3 beam, 0.43 speed, Chrono Rift. Why did he get Chrono Rift? Well, I don't know about that. It does slow down cooldowns and attack speed of capital ships. So that's good. Still, usually I would get charged before I would get Chrono Rift. So that if the Raven gets, you know, denied, you can dive and pick him off a little bit easier. This is a little bit more passive, but I guess he's not in a rush. His team is up a ship, his team is up on farm, and they don't need to generate a kill real quick. And if he can keep his team alive in a push, I guess that makes sense. Basically working to solidify their lead. 450 energy with the charges. We're up to 5 Locusts. Corruption, Legion, Acid Spray, and Frenzy and Deathbringer. He's got just about every spell he'll need for a while now. A lot of people will just not get Discharge because it is hard to make it work energy-wise with everything else going on with the Leviathan. Especially not this early. Some poking in the middle, but no real commitment, no real likelihood of death quite yet. Tempests are up to 280 damage. And now we have a 250 farm lead. Not as much as it could be, considering the difference in the ship and but the longer the game goes, the wider range of options the 5 ships will have. Another important thing to consider here, though, is that the Leviathan can get very, very big with the since they are 4 ships now rather than 5. So he will never be fighting the Overlord for farm, which is one reason that he can really put the money into the Locusts and expect to get it to pay for itself. You know, in this situation, you can almost wonder whether Sam would even put 2 into Griffins to keep it on 2-shot farm going into the 20-minute mark. Maybe not quite yet. Especially when there's bigger priorities. The battlecruiser still doesn't have scan. Sam still doesn't have protective field. You know, there's a lot of just quality of life things before you really can commit into farming. Now down to 0.36 speed. He does have charge now. So the Void Ray is now capable of killing. A little bit less than 210 before charge. So 300 damage a second with charge. He doesn't have double charge yet. Oh no, he does have double charge, so basically 400 damage a second. When he has the double charge up. He doesn't quite have the energy to be dumping Nova all the time and also maintain double charge very easily, especially not if he needs to cloak. Or if he gets imped or blocked out. I mean, there's a lot of things. Carwile has 10 range. Moore has 9 range, so Carwile gets some lasers, make sure he stays in 2-shot lasers, but also the 10 range so that he can kite a little bit. Still, he ends up... And he does now have Scanner Sweep. No damage ups on the charge, 450 energy. Does have protective field and bots. And a 400 farm difference. So this is still a game if they were to land a well-timed blackout or set up a good trick. I'm not sure that trying to go kiting is going to work very well here. Certainly it's not an unreasonable choice, but it is more a reasonable choice for the lasers almost, rather than for the missiles. You know, with that's the 200 mineral upgrade for the range, so you almost wonder, you know, would it have been better to actually save up and maybe even pick up a nuke so you have an extra blackout opportunity if it really comes down to it. So even if you don't really expect to land anything with a blackout, having it as a disengage tool can sometimes be very important. Because the team has to react to it, has to usually disengage if you're going to drop it. Zorba does not do lots of damage to Deathbringer, but with the BC firing missiles and the Tempests, does have to... his rapid regeneration is struggling to keep up. 14 tentacles. Yeah, one thing here is that with the Intercept and Frenzy, if he can ever get onto really the Raven, it might die before the team can force the Leviathan off. So there still is a lot of options, still are a lot of options for big plays here. It's just a matter that the Leviathan has to make up the damage lost on the Overlord, which has a much easier time dealing burst damage. Deathbringer does have the vast majority of his team's farm, 800, which is twice compared to the next ship, Carwile the BC. Even with his back farming, Pornexus is not that much ahead of the rest of his team. 0.31, 85 damage, double charge, 575 energy. Basically 500 damage a second, thereabouts, if he does maintain double charge. It would take a full 30 seconds to kill the Leviathan on its own, but only 20 seconds to kill a Raven. A little bit of a push. Pseudofanes has not used Blackout yet. But they don't have enough damage to continue really committing here. And the problem is that the more they do these 4 vs 4 engagements, the more time that Pornexus is going to be sitting down here just farming on his own willy-nilly. He does have to be mindful of the lockdown coming from the BC. Oh, and there's the nuke. But he can also react and warp out, and this is the point where you really wonder whether he actually wants to warp onto his team rather than going back to spend his money. Considering here's the Blackout. Now if they can get War here, they would be back in the game. This would be a match again worth leading in, and they might. They are getting on him. The defensive matrix is trying to keep him up. And they're getting close to the towers. The Dread does not have cats on him. Down to 700 though, and now Deathbringer has to disengage, and he might be punished for this. We got charges coming in from butt hairs, and the beam is on the Dreadnought. No protective field. Deathbringer is taking a lot of aggression here, and the Raven is not in position to actually maintain a lag spike. What the hell? Defensive matrix. The BC has to be tanking, which is not what he wants to be doing. He does not have rapid regeneration like the Leviathan. The Dreadnought gets in. This is going to be... Pornexus is back in. He is choosing. The BC goes down, the Dreadnought goes down. And that's pretty much game. They didn't get the Leviathan. And the Leviathan Raven can stall for a while sometimes. But versus a Void Ray, there's not a wide range of possibilities for getting back in this game. I mean, the Leviathan did almost kill the BC on his own. He did almost get War in that push. But at this point, he's not going to be able to easily maintain his farm lead. Pornexus is sitting here at 700, and a 700 farm Void Ray is usually going to beat an 800 farm Leviathan. Sam has already quit out. He knows the end is nigh and that the game is practically lost. Really is lost. Unless, you know, the win condition is massive derps or the best blackout in the history of blackouts. Here, I mean, if he blacked out the Void Ray at the same time that the Leviathan dove onto the Raven, maybe he could get a kill. But there's just no reason for them to ever be really grouped up like that, for them to get a blackout on multiple people at the same time. And the Leviathan just isn't overfed enough, right? If the game had gone on longer in the 4 vs 5 and the Leviathan had continued getting very well fed, maybe they could have made something happen, but not with only a 100 or 200 farm lead on the one ship. 1800 farm advantage for the blue team overall. I might as well turn back on the music at this point. I don't think it's unreasonable here for the team captain to GG out. I've seen Leviathans do incredible comebacks, usually with more like 2 supports rather than 1, like Arbiter, Raven, Leviathan can sometimes really make something happen. but with just Raven against Void Ray and 2 tanks, it's pretty rough. Maintaining 1 shot on Locusts, 1 shot on Tentacles, 20 Tentacles. He has Intercept, he has Corruption, he has Frenzy. If he could theoretically get on the Raven, he could probably make something happen, but it's a big if. That's a big condition. There's just no way to really get the drop on them at this point with the Raven and the Radar. In a pub match, maybe, with teams being so uncoordinated sometimes. Really, it's a lack of coordination that is the win condition. Raven wants to get that big blackout, but even blacking out 3 ships with the nuke and all this other garbage, there's just no way for the Leviathan to get back in this game. They can stall though. They can prolong the game until basically there's just no way to stop the Void Ray from destroying the tower. Then once both towers are destroyed, they dive on the Raven, kill the Raven, and then a lot of the time they'll actually kill the base before the Leviathan. I guess the main thought is that maybe they don't GG out, not because they think they can still win, but because they're hoping they can still get a kill, maybe. That if the blue team overcommits at the wrong time, that they can pick off one of them. But it would have to be the Raven, because with Perpetual DMAP, there's just no way to kill anything. It's not even using a shield transfer yet, and there, now he started. Might end up being a one-way trip at this point. At least, yeah, for the Raven. Dread is on him. And nope, no 1-point kill. The end has arrived. GG's. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Sorry that there was a little 5 minutes kind of slow death at the end here. Makes for an anticlimactic ending. But it was just some good plays in the mid game with the warp back and the warp trick to take out the Overlord. Really started the tide, and then after that sealed the deal with just solid gameplay. Thanks for watching. See you next time.